Hello everyone, Empire Baron here. Welcome back. If you haven't checked out part 1 yet, check it out because this is part 2. We have third round action from the RTS-Sanctuary.com tournament, and let's get back to the game. We are seeing Kumruke in the blue here has a very large force already, and he's making his way down the map. We are at about the 10-minute mark here. Just about the 10-minute mark. He is in the third age. You get a glance at his resources. Very good resources. That food resource is up pretty high because he has fishing boats going. He has, I believe, his second dock started in the north. That town center, his first extra town center, goes up. And we are seeing now Peltis be created as well as Padromos. And he is now just really trying to get to this population limit. We've seen a very macro-oriented play go on for Kumruke, which in this game has proven to be the most important strategy. Macro, 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 and less on the micro, but at the same time, it is important to put on these ambushes, but we haven't seen Kumruke do ambush. We've seen a couple come through from Bubble, who's tried to do it. And here we are, first major engagement going on here. It seems like to be a very even fight. We see the makeup of the forces, mainly Hypas. We're seeing some Padromos, though, come in here for Bubble. So Bubble has gotten to that third age. We're seeing a very blended force for both players. We are seeing, though, that it seems Kumruke has got the better of this one. And Kumruke is now going to be able to force the retreat of Bubble, who is going to go back to his town center and be defended there, and we are going to see Kumruke push up the map in chase. Let's see if Bubble has anything in the back to hold this off. Now you're seeing Kumruke kick it into high gear as he's putting his markets up, and he is getting ready to get into this mid game to the end game and see if he can push Bubble to defeat and win this series, moving on to the fourth round. All right, so we are seeing mainly archery ranges now. 4 archery ranges go up. It looks like it's a pre-beta or this build game where those archers used to be so strong, but now we're seeing the archers and every other unit just get slaughtered by Bubble now, who was able to retreat back to his base to the safety of his reinforcements, and he has enough units being produced where he was able to push off this attack and force Kumruke to retreat. But more units are coming on for Kumruke, who are pushing down the map slowly but surely, and the archers managed to get away. A bunch of archers managed to get away, and the majority of his Hypas were completely slaughtered. Those fishing boats have a little bit more food left in that pond. You're keep an eye on the units in queue right now. You're seeing he is pumping out a ton of villagers, and he is just trying to really get this economy macroed out because now he's got his military buildings in place. We're seeing a couple Padromos come up for Bubble trying to do another ambush, but we're seeing he's got his military buildings in place, and now he is just setting in to do a full-out macro style so that he can just pump these forces on and keep the pressure on. We're seeing his last town center was just built here at about the 13-minute mark, and that allows him to fill up his population. Let's see how quick it takes. You'll see 158 out of 200 already, and this will be very hard for Bubble to stop because we see that Kumruke has full map control now. That entire eastern side of the map is visible, and he knows when these attacks are coming. So now we're seeing another engagement here, mainly Peltis coming in. It is very strange how these Peltis have proven to be so strong. Usually their tag says they're only strong against archers, but he is just using so many of them here, and he's tactically retreating because he sees there's a rather large force for Bubble here. So we're even back and forth battle here, but Kumruke has map control and has forced Bubble back to the safety of his town center. Let's see now how Bubble reacts, if Bubble is able to keep up with this pressure. You're seeing now the resources for Kumruke are just able to skyrocket, and he has now officially reached population limit, and he is going to pump out a bunch more military buildings. He's going to really start to get these caravans going, and he's got more Padromos in queue, and he's got a couple more villagers in queue. So his 200 population, let's see how he handles it. You'll notice the majority of his population is still maybe not majority, but a good amount is economy. You'll see that is his only force that you see right there. And he is forcing Bubble back. And armory goes up so he can start upgrading this max population. And you're seeing his population drop down to 189. And he is just moving around this map so quickly, making sure he can get any information he can. More Peltis pouring in down to 179 as he macros out some more units, pumps out some more archery ranges. These Peltis are just going to be the huge part of his force. He's going to upgrade these Peltis probably with the archery upgrade. More Peltis coming on. Yep, archers, infantry. So he's still upgrading all of the units. But nope, there he goes. He has changed it to all archery upgrades. So we are seeing Peltis that are going to be very strong up against just about every kind of unit. A very interesting strategy to note here. It used to be before this last build that the Toxotes were so strong, and now we're seeing these Peltis taking their place maybe, and maybe the balanced team needs to take note of these games. We also saw in the finals that the Prodromos were a very powerful 4th age unit because they counter the Hippocans so well, and we're seeing these Peltis are a very inexpensive unit that you can upgrade well, and they have a very strong defense against archers and just about every other kind of unit. They have that very strong shield, and if you equip them right, I'm sure you can set them up to be a pretty good all-around fighter, and we're seeing those Peltis just come in and out of battle, tactically retreat and push, and are just putting constant pressure on Bubbles now. And his land is getting more and more war-torn. We're seeing also a little bit of a pressure put on the complete western side of Bubbles' base as Kumruke is doing a little bit of economical damage. There you go. You'll see the gold is getting pushed off, and Bubble is forced to pull some troops away from his main force to defend against these little ambushes, and at the same time it does such a number to his economy. We're seeing stables being painted on the land of Bubble, and Kumruke is just putting this pressure on. We're seeing such a strong player in action here. All of these strategies are so important to take note of. It is very good RTS strategy in general. Rush your economy at the same time as putting pressure on. He's macroing his own economy very nicely, keeping his resources very high, so many farms, so much gold, keeping his population high. He's on his way now up to that 4th age, and he's going to paint a couple of these archery ranges now on here, a little bit closer to the base. And now we're seeing just these pincers be closed in on Bubble, who just needs to do something drastic here because he is just getting slowly more and more pushed back. Kumruke is finding some more food for those fishing boats to go. It's important to never let up in these games. You don't ever want to give your opponent a chance to come back. We've learned through history so many times you get stuck up on being happy with what you're doing, and then the enemy comes and bites you in the butt before you even know it. We are seeing Kumruke is not going to let this happen. An academy goes up, and he's just going to keep upgrading these units more and more and more, and we're just seeing he has his opponent just pinched in here. Even though Bubble has a rather large amount of forces there, we're seeing, wow, a large force for Bubble, who has just been accruing these forces. But Bubble better keep him alive, because with all those forces, you know that he can't have the greatest economy. We watched Kumruke do some damage to the economy on the western side of Bubble's country, and now we are seeing him just now keep map control. Kumruke has retreated his units a little bit outside of Bubble's base and is content now to get these units upgraded up. You're seeing a couple Hippocans be created. I believe that's the champion Hippocan upgrade, or at least the veteran Hippocan upgrade. And we are seeing more archer upgrades, so he is going to have strong Hippocans and strong archers. We're seeing some siege workshops being thrown down and some battering rams being pulled out of them so he can start destroying these buildings. And look at the force for Bubble now. We are seeing a rather even force here. Looks like, though, Bubble has a little bit of advantage on this, but mainly archers in there, and those are not going to counter very well to those Peltis, which are very strong against the archers of Bubble. I don't know what kind of archers they were, really. It's tough to tell. There is a blob, though, of units for Bubble. And now we are seeing those Hippocans come around the back for Kumruke and do some economical damage around the rear. But that force for Bubble was able to completely demolish this force for Kumruke. But Kumruke hasn't wasted any time and is now almost back up to full population limit. I don't see exactly where most of his forces are. He seems to have a very large economy, and he's keeping his pressure on with these Hippocans. And he is now upgrading his Gastras. So we are going to see some 4th age units here. The Gastras are coming in very good against the other infantry, and these Hippocans are just very strong units. He's got so many resources. Look at the amount of wood he has, and now he is just going to keep macroing these farms out and just keep his economy flourishing while he keeps pumping out military. Bubble is going to have a tough time with this. These, like I said before, pincers are closing around. Kumruke is doing damage on one side, and then at the same time, moving in with his main force on the other side. Hippocans are breaking through the line and are going to be able to ambush these farms. And the more villagers that Bubble loses, the longer that Kumruke can keep this siege on, because Bubble won't be able to make any more military units. There hit a time where Bubble will be out of units, and I believe there it was. That economy was demolished. The pressure was on by Kumruke. What strong play. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We should have some more Kumruke videos up very soon, and if you liked my video, please subscribe. We got some great news coming up for release, so keep posted. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Empire Bear.